Well, welcome to Be Honest podcast with Dr. Yana and Dr. Sherry, where we hold honest conversations about life, relationships, challenges, and everything in between, with unfiltered discussions with real people offering their authentic stories, experiences, and perspectives. No topic is off limits and no story is too small. Join us on United Public Radio Network 107.7 FM.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are back, and as always, you're welcome to the Honest Podcast with Dr. Yana and Dr. Sherry, where we hold honest conversations about our relationships with ourselves, with partners, children, and the world.
Before we dive into today's topic, we'd like to thank you for joining us on United Public Radio 107.7 FM in lively New Orleans. It's carnival time. Mardi Gras parades kick off today. If you would enjoy putting faces with these lovely voices you're hearing on today's show, visit us at our YouTube channel, Be Honest Talks. Please like and subscribe to our channel so we can continue bringing valuable content that inspires you to be honest. Now let's shift back to today's topic of moving beyond labels.
So exciting. Well, have you ever wondered how labels shape the perception of ourselves and others? I have. In fact, I continue thinking about it. It is like back my mind all the time. I don't know what to do about it. This is a particularly interesting topic. Labels are very powerful to use in society to categorize and make sense of the world around us. However, label comes with advantages and disadvantages. And we are going to explore today how labeling people can affect us, examine good benefits and drawbacks. So,
I'm still getting a lot of feedback from you, Dr. Yana.
It's like we're getting feedback all the time.
People are talking.
Yeah, I don't hear anything happening on your end.
It might just be on my end, but I can't listen. I can't hear what you're saying. I can hear you, but I can't determine what you're saying. It sounds like there's more than one person speaking into the mic.
Interesting. Dr. Sherry, you're really right now. Okay. So let's try to figure it out again. All right. How about then we'll go again. Let's see how things are going to be.
You want to take a moment to do it? To try to get back in?
Let's take a moment to do that. Yes. We are going to see Dr. Sherry in just seconds. So Dr. Sherry, please.
Well, I'll talk to them while you're trying to figure that out.
No, it's not my problem. It's what you're talking about. You just labeling me without.
I'm not labeling you.
This is so funny. Why? What about it? Like, what's something about that now? See, maybe perhaps it's on your end.
Yeah, it's hard to even know what you're asking me. All I hear is labels.
Log in. Okay. All right. We are going to see Dr. Sherry in just seconds.
So I'm being ostracized for being labeling.
Ostracized. So how's it now?
I can at least hear what you're saying, but when you're speaking, there's like feedback going on with when you're speaking.
Okay. All right. Let's try to figure it out.
Maybe leave and come back. Does it work the first time?
Okay. So let's try that again.
Hi, everybody. I'm still here waiting for Dr. Yana to come back. Today, we're talking about labels, labels that can confine us. So, today, we're going to try to talk about how to become, I guess, undefinable by labels. So, let's undefine ourselves with the labels we place on ourselves, the labels others place on us, as well as the labels we place on others, which I'm sure we're all guilty of that. It's a part of our everyday life, carrying labels, giving labels. I mean, labels are really for clothing, right? Welcome back, Dr. Yana.
All right, now
There
check,
you
check,
are.
test, test. Can you
Fantastic.
hear me?
Yes, you have undefined the label of, I
All right,
guess,
of whatever.
yeah.
Labels are on the clothing. This is so funny that you said that. That is exactly how it is supposed to be. Labels on the clothing. And the rest of the labels, actually, they can be positive, they can be negative. Let's talk about the negative labeling, which can be applied to different aspects of personal identity, characteristics, or behaviors. Like, for example, I know that it can affect academic performance. Labeling a student as slow or unintelligent based on their academic performance can lead to self doubt, low self esteem, and reduced motivation to succeed. I have seen that all the time. For example, I had a student before, long time ago. They were undergraduate students, and I was teaching a course. And one of the students uh, was not performing very well. I had to call her, and she was plagiarizing and not performing very well, underperforming. And I knew that she was underperforming because she could do it. She was very intelligent, and she could actually do it. She just didn't believe in herself. So interestingly enough, that I called her and she came to talk to me, and I said, you know what? You are very capable. You are able to write papers yourself. You don't have to copy anything from the internet. And at the time, we didn't have any chat GPTs or AI. So I asked her to write the paper with her own words. She looked at me as if I just fell from the moon upon the tree somewhere I hit my head. But nevertheless, pretty soon she brought me another paper, and it was half plagiarized, but I could see the baseline language that she was using, of course, did not coincide with the language that she was borrowing from the internet from some of the publications. So finally, after the three tries, I asked her to bring me a paper written with her own words, and she did. And I call her intelligent and capable and kind and smart. She brought me that paper. And I was so amazed at the amount of time probably that she had spent on just exploring her own thoughts and not plagiarizing, just expressing herself. She wrote a paper, and I gave her an A. And in fact, she was starting to write very good papers. And in the end, I gave her an A in the class. And then, interesting story, that I had a dean call me and ask me at 9 o'clock in the evening. I don't understand why would somebody call me at 9 o'clock in the evening. And he tells me that I know that you gave the student an A in the class. I have a question for you. Was your class very easy? And I said, no, this is not an easy class. And you can ask other students because they also have to write papers. They also have to perform to the standard that is set in the class. So he said that this particular student never got an A, and this is a C student. In all of her classes, she doesn't get anything above C. So he was really surprised, and he said that he is going to look into that. And I said, you know what?
It is very simple. All I did is give her a chance, and I asked her to perform. I saw her as an individual, and if it really bothers you, I said there is a psychological component into it, and teaching is also a very psychological process. And this is how you see students. This is whether they are individuals, they're human beings in front of you, or just a mere object on the letter grade, right? So I said, I just expected more of her, and she started performing. And as a psychological effect on her, she will believe in herself from now on, and she will perform better in other classes because she will be believing in herself. And he was perplexed. Nevertheless, I noticed that student was doing better and better in other classes, B's and some A's. So I believe it is very important not to label in the educational setting and allow people to express their talents.
Yeah, I agree. There's still a little bit of feedback on your end. You might want to try to maybe move the microphone from your computer. It's still starting to come back. Like I don't know what it is.
I don't know. It's doing fine.
I can hear you. It just sounds like
Log
there's
out. Log out. Come back right in. Can you please? Yeah. Log out. All right. We'll see. Dr. Sherry, just a minute. We nevertheless continue our conversation on how labeling affects us on a day-to-day basis. For example, affects our appearance by criticizing other people's appearance and calling them ugly, fat, or unattractive can result in image issues, insecurity, and social withdrawal. And I am guilty of that myself because they're all product of our own cultural upbringing, and sometimes I even catch myself even thinking this is so ugly, and why would that be ugly? Ugly behavior is ugly behavior. Something that is not looking to the standards of society as the beauty, understanding beautiful example of something that should not be considered as ugly. Nevertheless, I noticed that our society all over the world is now gaining this kind of labeling and shaming, which is a good thing. And I'm really happy that this has happened in our world. Social withdrawal is very heritage is affecting many people. Not many of us can boast high self-esteem. Not many of us have to work on that, and it's so difficult to have a higher self-esteem, to develop better self-esteem. But you have to work on that. Now, for example, you're something yourself overweight, and people are calling you that way. That is a negative label. It can affect you negatively. Insecurity, your body image issues, and cause you to doubt yourself doubt your mood, doubt your body image, doubt everything in your life. Um, because that is something that is expected in our society to be of a good body image. At least here in California. This is so interesting. Before I even moved to California, that was never an issue. I never thought of that because before I used to live in Texas, then Midwest, and then California. And all of a sudden I came here. And there was an expectation of me on the part of other ladies, my acquaintances and friends, to look better. And then would talk to me as if I'm not I'm not doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing to let's share that here.
Somehow we're having technical difficulties today.
Dr.
Dr.
Sherry,
Sherry, you are back.
Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear
I think
you.
I'm better.
It's not about not being able to hear you. It's the feedback that's occurring while you're speaking. It's crunchy and it's just not clear. That's really the only way to put it.
Okay. If I hold the microphone like this, is it better?
I can actually hear what you're saying better, and the
Okay.
crunchiness is in the
Okay.
background.
Like the crunchiness, this someplace else, I'm just gonna have to hold the microphone in my mouth, eating this microphone so you can hear me.
It's just a lot of. It's almost like the microphone is too close to something because it's just a feedback. I don't know. It's only when you speak. Like I can't hear.
That is
There's no feedback from your system when you're not speaking.
so I don't understand. I'm just gonna be eating this microphone till the rest of the show. So it is absolutely okay. Let's just do that. We were talking about the Californian expectations of our body image.
Oh,
So
okay.
some of my acquaintances and some friends, they called me essentially like underperforming. That you're supposed to be looking this way. You're this age. You're supposed to be doing Botox. Look at yourself. Or like you could do some lip fillers. Or
Oh
thank
goodness.
God I didn't hear anything about my nose or anything else. Like okay, like oh, here's the we can fix the double chin. Where's my double chin? I could say you didn't have a triple chin, right? Or something else. It is always is the case. And I was laughing. I was laughing because I know how to compare myself. Not that I know how to compare myself. We all compare ourselves to other people, of course, to the standards of the society, or to. I like to compare myself to myself way back. I don't know, 20 years back, 10 years back, 5 years back, and just even a year back. So I have some frame of reference and I can remain to the relative extent the way that I used to look before. So, what these labels on women that, for example, don't have this duck lips, right? Because sometimes the lip injections can go uh, crazy, right? And instead of just a little bit plumping our lips, women can have huge, big duck type lips. So there is an expectation to look a certain way, especially with Hollywood being so close to us, or even 2 mile eyelashes that I see women wear.
2 mile. Get a rope.
2 mile eyelashes. Yeah, it's like exactly. I saw a little meme somewhere, and one guy posted, and he said that, "Have you ever seen any guy suggesting that, oh, if you had those beautiful artificial lashes, you would be even prettier?" No. Somehow we do that to ourselves. And not that I want to label anyone, but sometimes we go crazy with the extent and the length of the lashes, the fillers, with injections, the body augmentation, right? It is all because of the society inadvertently putting those labels on us, correct? So,
Yeah, I would say the labels we assign ourselves and others, it impacts our daily lives, our relationships, and our self worth. What comes to mind when discussing the topic of labels to me is the way we label ourselves and others is on the basis usually of our perceived prejudices, how we assess our judgments. Because often, like I like to think, is labels categorize, leading to stereotypes, which generalize, which also embarks on resulting, excuse me, not embarks, resulting in stigma, which ostracizes. So just from a simple label, we're labeled before we're born. We're, people want to know when the mother's carrying a baby in her womb. Well, what are you having? Well, I'm having a baby. Well, what is the label? Is it a boy or a girl? Well, so even before we come out into the world, we're assigned a label. And again, like you said, I think there's a positive and a negative to labels. Well, however, what you're speaking about is the societal norms and expectations, and seems to be big on that side of the world. I remember living there.
yeah,
I
you
mean, any
remember.
it's People are like that. They're judging
Exactly.
others. You're so busy defining another person with a label that it's not our job to label other people.
Running around and hanging labels on other people like nothing else to do.
Maybe I'll get some of those 2 mile eyelashes and put them on my eyebrows instead of my eyes.
Or you're going to be stigmatized. I put a label on you as stupid or
Right?
moron, right? It's so easy to do. It's absolutely so easy to do, and we have to have a moral obligation to other people, to the society in general, not to stigmatize and not to label them like that, because it can affect also the mental health by
Hmm.
stigmatizing people with, for example, mental health conditions by using derogatory labels such as crazy, psycho, or nutcase, right? Can exasperate feelings of shame, isolation, and reluctance to even seek help. I know that in a day-to-day life, I hear a lot from people. Oh, she's bipolar. Oh, she's a psycho, or he's a psycho. And I don't even stop to tell people anymore that you have to understand what bipolar actually is and not stigmatize a person with this kind of a diagnosis because you're not a psychotherapist. You did not get a degree in psychology anywhere in order to uh, put that kind of a label on a person. So we should be very careful, even I, when people come to me for help. I do not set labels on them. In fact, I strongly encourage them to move away from that label, from those labels that the doctors hang on them, because they are not their diagnosis. They are not. And they can deal with the symptoms, but they are not the bipolar. If like, oh, I'm bipolar, oh, I'm borderline, people come and tell me that. No, you're not bipolar and you are not borderline, because people can identify with that, and their identity will be formed for many years, and that would be very difficult to even shake that off them.
Right. You can clarify saying you are not your disorder or what you've been labeled as. However, you are displaying symptoms that categorize you as perhaps maybe being afflicted by something that is interfering with your everyday living.
Absolutely, absolutely, because we can uh, exhibit something that is called a self-fulfilled prophecy, because if we speak to ourselves in certain tone and certain uh, phraseology and the narrative that we believe, we become what we think about. It is so easy to do. However, people don't even think about it. I can't stress enough how many times I have to insist with my children, for example. I don't really insist with other people or like with clients who come to seek help. Yes, I do. I pointed out that we should not be thinking about ourselves in the negative terms. We should not call ourselves, oh, I'm so stupid. How could I have done that? You know, that, yeah, it's falls in your subconscious. And you, Dr. Sherry, and myself, like as a hypnotherapist, we know the detrimental effect of that. We can believe into
Hmm.
anything we say. I'm so bad at writing. Oh, my writing is like the chicken handwriting, right? Like, forget about it. Don't say anything negative about yourself, because the world is so cruel enough, and it will hang all the labels that it can, tells anything negative about you, and the least that you can do is to be your own friend and not say bad things about yourself, right?
Because you're always listening. You're always listening to what you're saying. So if you start the day by bringing yourself down, then you're going to may have the results of that all day of feeling down, feeling sorry for yourself, and so on and so forth.
Exactly. Now I'm holding this microphone, Dr. Sherry.
It's
My
you
hands are
actually have
getting.
no you actually don't have any more feedback at all. You probably can put it back in its holder. Like it's
Okay.
absolutely it left. It left the studio. Whatever other entity was here, I
I'm
tell you, I
afraid there
think
was no
parts of
entities.
the paranormal show keeps
We
coming on
didn't
this
have a
show.
paranormal show. It could have been my ferret, that my friend, my ferret could have been. Um, that is always with me. So that is so funny. So you're doing fine,
Yes,
yeah?
yeah.
You can
The
hear
other
me
thing,
well.
I can hear you perfectly. If we can use that perfect word in this unperfect world. I like to think of labels. There's so many labels in the world. They're like, I mean, of course, we don't have 200 billion labels as we have stars in the galaxy, but it's kind of like that. Labels are just in this like cloud of, there's just so many that we use, and I think using labels is a very lazy way of existing. It's lazy. I don't have to get to know this person. I don't have to do any work. I can just be lazy and assign a label. Because when we assign a label to something, we can just be lazy and give it a label, look at the stereotype, it, um yeah, it's lazy.
Well, when we do that, Dr. Sherry, have you ever thought by doing that we place ourselves be above that human being whom we just labeled in a negative way, right? For example, if we are using derogatory labels such as faggot, uh, to describe people who identify with the LGBTQ, I can't even pronounce that, it can lead to discrimination, harassment, and mental health issues. And of course, we talk about mental health all the time. And it is such a beat up topic. I'm tired of listening about mental health all the time. However, we need to understand that those issues, that kind of negative labeling, can lead to detrimental effects of people that uh, can be proud of themselves, but nevertheless, when they hear negative comments, uh, addressing their persona, then it will stay. It will stay with them. It will stay in the back of their minds, and it will lower their self esteem. Um,
I agree. And in addition to what you're saying, if you're given a label and you believe in the label, you could also not participate in a healthy part of your own living, because you can say, well, you just keep making excuses for the reasons that you are experiencing the things in your life because you're using your label as the reason. Well, I couldn't do this today because I'm such and such. I mean, unless you're confined to a wheelchair and can't walk, there's no reason you can't go outside and use your legs. There are in certain circumstances, I believe that, you know, we can categorize people, which is a label. A label is a categorization of something. Label your food. If we could get away from having so many labels, I think we could find a better way to have world peace. I mean, we might be far from it, but if we can come together, we can stop outcasting things, people, places.
I agree in this sense with you. However, categorization is very important in the functioning in the world and our functioning in the functioning of the society. We can't live without the categorization. We can't live without certain labeling, but in a positive sense, because when we call that, oh, the person is so judgmental, or you're so judgmental, you're judging me, this word is also has been such a beat up word. This judging word, it is always like raises hair on my skin. This you're judging
Well,
me.
are you
You know,
judging? Are you
people,
observing?
that judgment that we have has to have the element of observation. This is as human beings we function in this world. We categorize this world to ourselves, and we live based on those categories, and we relate to this world around us based on those categories that we have learned. So we cannot use that word judging indiscriminately, right? In the terms, for example, yeah, if someone calls another person a faggot, that would be judgment, and that would be very harsh word toward another human being. I cannot tell you how profoundly upset I get when I hear teenage kids or even middle school kids, and I live right here, right by the shopping plaza. And after the school is over, and God forbid I find myself at the plaza at that time, I hear the most incredibly abominable language, the way that they address each other, the way that they call each other. And I don't understand why we as a society do not put an end to it. How is our free speech functioning in this society? This is not even a free speech. I believe that in chasing the notion of free speech, we have gone above and beyond common sense. For example, if I hear those kids saying all these nasty words to each other, I interfere and I would say, not that I wouldn't shame them, but to say, you look like very nice kids. And I would ask them, which grade are they? And I would tell them that that kind of language can negatively affect another person. And then another teenager would say, "Oh no, I'm not affected. We all speak like that." And I said, "You know what? That becomes a normality for you. By calling, so the other girlfriends are calling you a bitch is not normal. This is not normal. You are not a bitch. That it. But this is our societal norms that normalize it, right? Like, or calling each other, oh, he's a faggot, or like, kids in elementary school, I heard them saying, oh, you are bisexual, in elementary school. The kids in elementary school, they learn from adults, which is understanding. However, when in the middle school and the high school, calling each other this way, hanging all of those labels that don't have any basis for it, is just not right, not correct, and children should not be even using that language. That language, even bisexual, is a different category that we also categorize our world with. That this is how we understand the world. There, um, there is a negative connotation in the world and the society as a whole. That's why they put all those labels. However, like Dr. Sherry, what you said before this podcast, what people do behind the closed doors in their bedroom is their business. Nobody else's business, and I really believe that.
I think, yeah, I don't we're not I don't think in our lifetime we're going to get rid of labels. And I think they are, like you're saying, there are appropriate times to categorize things and label. But as the labels continue to language, the evolution of language, labels come and go. There are labels we used to use that are no longer politically correct, so we don't use those labels anymore. So some labels will die off, or you'll become ostracized for using them, and some will become more popular. However, as we continue to embrace these labels that cause stigmas, and really, I think, cause hate in the world. Well, you're a Christian. Okay, well, you're an atheist. Well, now we're going to fight over it. Those are labels we're living behind. Why does it matter what you believe in this life? You should really just learn to love you and love other people, like to practice living in humanity. I know that's, we're far from that, but we're so tied up into labels. Even like, I remember back in the day, it was like, it wasn't really, it was LGBTQ was, I believe, always there, that the initials or the acronym for the community. But it used to be like, if you were a lesbian, you were also gay, lesbian, bisexual. And now I believe it's become a very stringent category. You're gay. Like homosexual used to be gay, lesbian, and now it's very like more so lesbians are women, of course, gay are the gay men. Some people don't even believe in bisexuality. So if we're going, I mean, there's so many labels in the world. We can just move just beyond sexuality as well. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
we continue to live behind them, we may not, live who we truly are. Because it's easy to just say, well, this is who I am. Ha ha. Deal with it. No.
Exactly. And like you mentioned, there's some labels that used to be labels, there no longer are at this time. However, um, this is such a funny word, gay, and I did not know uh, what it meant before. I had to learn because English is my second language. However, reading Nietzsche, for example, who wrote on gay science,
Mhm.
thinking how much things have changed over the years and over the times. This is so incredible. So now gay means something else. And
Still means happy.
Gay means happy, right? And what people do behind the closed doors is just their own personal business, unless it affects me in some way negatively, right? But if not, live and let live, right?
Yeah, I think when we address people by their labels, we can't have empathy and compassion for them. If you're really, if you're a Republican and you're dealing with a Democrat or vice versa, or some kind of political agenda, it seems to be spewed with hate, instead of just trying to understand what's going on. It's there's the label creates a very it's a confinement. I am confined to this label and I am confined to my beliefs, and I don't care what you believe. I will spend all day trying to disprove based on my own opinions. It's
I
very
so
confining.
agree with you. I so agree with you. You know, early on in my life, long time ago, I believe when I was 17, I was really pondering this question. I've read somewhere in the literature, because books were my life, still are. I've read, if you call someone wrong, meaning that you are yourself wrong at the same time. So I learned, not that I practiced that before, but I learned early on that I should not change the other person's beliefs or convictions, because those people, what do? They have the same convictions as you, or just on the opposite spectrum, correct? And they hold their beliefs dearly. Why would I want to go and change their beliefs? Unless, of course, I'm teaching at the university level and I have to change certain opinions, right? What we held. I ask at the beginning of the class what their opinion is on certain the subject matter. And then by the end of the class, it was changed because we learn the facts, and then we base our opinions on the facts, not just the silly perceptions that we learn from the media, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree with you. I don't think labels will go away. I think it's just a matter of how we use them to define ourselves and others in a positive or negative way. Because I think, through,
Absolutely.
like you said, to a certain extent, we need labels. If somebody wins the Nobel Peace Prize, they have they deserved that honorary label of being
Exactly.
in that prestige. If you have a doctorate, you deserve to have your title. So I think, when it comes to labels like that, as you mentioned, there are positive labels. I think it's how we live under the label and how we give labels out is what matters most.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's
Assigning
talk
labels.
assigning labels, right? So when you teach, you're a professor. However, oh my God, Dr. Sherry, I had to learn all those different intricacies or splitting hairs who can be called a professor or who cannot be. So while we label people, we also split hairs behind it. And that is
True.
so funny. I've learned that in American academia here in the United States, that you cannot be called a professor unless you are a full-time professor. What is professor? Professore. Let's just look at that like in Italian, right? It is a teacher. It is a teacher. But we love in our society to split hairs and even go take that label beyond any uh, critical understanding, right? And beyond any objectivity, and allow people to call themselves professors after they reach full professorship status. This is bizarre. This is crazy in my understanding. I just labeled them all crazy, their
Yeah.
behavior crazy.
Labels they
But
can reflect power dynamics, which often leads to stereotypes, prejudice, and like discrimination, just based on your
absolutely.
perceived differences.
Absolutely, absolutely. It is with identification and understanding. The label, in a positive sense, they can help identify and understand certain characteristics and traits and behaviors of people. They provide a framework for comprehension, recognizing patterns, so we cannot absolutely just sweep them away and just say no, we don't need that categorization, right? For instance, labeling someone as creative can help acknowledge them and appreciate their innovative abilities, right? It doesn't have to be don't have to be on an academic level. So if you just tell the person that, oh, you're creative, how the power of the mind works. If you tell a human being, for if it, especially a child, if children are just like sponges, if you tell them that you are stupid, you know, you're not creative at all, you're stupid, and now at schools they're not allowed to do that, which is wonderful, then the child would not exhibit his full potential at all, or any potential for that regard. If we go to any troubled high school, right? And we approach those children as just mere subjects without even understanding what they're all about, we will never change anything. I love those movies. Remember that we had in our in 80s, 1980s about the teacher. I forget the substitute. There was a series of the substitute. How he would come to school, so the troubled schools. So was that in Florida and LA, right? And he will change things around. How? By having a higher expectations of them, by not thinking that they're just trouble, that they will amount to nothing just like their parents. They're going to be on the streets in gangs, right? It's having higher expectations of people that can change the game. Just as easy as that, higher expectation. Be kind to somebody and show the higher expectation.
Yes.
Because
Have
if
empathy.
we have empathy, and the science, psychological science proves that if we have a certain expectation of a person, even if it's on the same level, okay, steady, that we understand that this person is capable of this and that. However, and that student, for example, behaves on the same level, conforms to the same level of behavior that is expected of him, right? And if you expect just a little bit of that human being, just a little bit higher, and say, oh, I think that you can perform better. Oh, I think you're more intelligent than you think that you are. Oh, I think that you can solve that problem. And
Yeah.
people all of a sudden they start living up to those expectations because they want to look good in other people's eyes. On the contrary, if you say, oh, you're just a dumbass, you're so stupid, nothing will amount to you, uh, ever of you, right? Nothing will come up. Like in my school when I was still in high school, the teachers used to say that, oh, if you have all these bad grades and you don't study, you're going to be the trash truck drivers chasing rats. That is interesting. So if we just move away from that, if we expect more of children they are in that susceptible state, imagine how much we can achieve as a society, right?
Yeah, I agree with you. There's a level of expectation we can place there. However, moving aside, expectation can also lead to disappointment. Sometimes or resentment. We can have expectations of someone or something, and if they don't meet those expectations, it could also lead to disappointment. So I think the way I'm perceiving what you're saying is to have belief in people, to show that I believe in
Believe.
you.
That's
Yes.
right. It's belief and also higher expectations, not meaning that those people will have to conform to your expectations. This is not exactly, I'm so glad that you clarified that, because this is not the expectations that I'm expecting you to be on a certain level, or I will just lose my faith in you. No, it's knowing and approaching this topic consciously by giving people a chance, by believing that they are better than they are and they will conform to that. I have
Yes.
not seen any case yet that if I think nicely of a person, and if it, like some even clients that come to me, even people on the street, when sometimes they have this belligerent behavior, this nasty, absolutely nasty behavior, and the first approach would be the first instinctual approach, like, who are you to behave like that? Just shut your mouth and don't say anything, right? How dare you, right? And then you come and you say, I think that you're better than that. You're better than that. And I can see that you are. Like, for example, I have a neighbor and he was 18 and then he was 19, always troubled behavior, always. And I would see him riding his skateboard and I would talk to him because neighbors don't even talk to him because nobody wants to deal with this crazy person, right? Crazy person, right? So when I would talk to him. I would ask him what his interests are, what does he believe in, what are his plans for the future are. And I would tell him that he is intelligent, that there's more to him than people see. I would support him and uplift him. And he would just say, you know what? Other people don't see it in me. They all see me as trouble. But I'm so thankful to you for your kind words because nobody speaks to me that way, and he changed. This is the type of change that we want to see in people, not the type of derogatory or, just shut up. I don't want to listen to your stupid conversations. Like we always,
Yeah,
you
but a
know?
lot, many times you can. It's great that you have given him some inspiration in his life. The bottom line is, no matter what people tell us, we have to believe it, and we have to choose whether or not we want to believe that about ourselves. Same thing with labels. If somebody's going to call you something or going to label you, you have to determine at the end of the day, that's not me. They can everyone has their own perception. That's the beauty of being human and the uniqueness of our individuality. However, our perception is skewed by confirmation bias, right? So I think getting in touch with our biases will also help us understand labels a little better.
True, true. And also, well, labels can empower people by validating their experiences and providing a sense of identity and belonging within the community, within their family, and even within themselves.
Yes,
Be-
that's what I think we're emphasizing here is how you use the label and how you direct it. How is it used in your life, and how are you directing the labels?
that's true. This is a very interesting topic that we're discussing, Dr. Sherry. We are live. You are joining us live here on United Public Radio Network 107.7 FM, and you're listening to Be Honest podcast, where we hold honest conversations about ourselves, relationships with our families, partners, and the world. So we're happy that you're with us here today, and we welcome questions. If you have any questions, please ask us. We have a comment here. Ardell Wright, we'll just show it. Um, he said, where did it go? Wonderful job, ladies. Well, thank you, Ardell. That's very nice of you. Thank you. Thank you. And we have one more. Love the knowledge you're giving. Well, fantastic. Thank you for your kind words.
You
We
have any
appreciate
labels
it.
for us? I'm just kidding.
What? Love the knowledge you're giving. Yes, because if we speak in scientific terms, it's very difficult to understand. And I learned a long time ago. I used to even type the text. I would write emails, even write text. I would speak in this academic language because this is a label on you. You're the academician, right? This is your own label that you put on yourself. And then you start speaking with this kind of attitude, right? Disregarding everything else, right? And a lot of the times people would just tell me, oh, just because you have PhD does not mean that you're smarter than me. Of course not. And this uh, education gives you knowledge. It does not give you intelligence. And that I have learned a long time ago. There's no emotional intelligence there. Nobody teaches you that.
Yeah,
There's only
it's
the set
different
of
than
knowledge.
wisdom. Yeah, I think that's
Absolutely
where
different than
wisdom plays a
wisdom.
role.
Yes. So if you have any questions, please ask us, send us in the email, go to our website, BeHonestTalks.com, right, Dr. Sherry?
BeHonestPodcast.com.
Be Honest Podcast, and then the email, BeHonestTalks at
Uh,
gmail.com.
That's right. And you can find us on YouTube at Be Honest Talks.
And you know what? If you don't find us on YouTube, we're going to put a label on you. Oh, labels. This is such an interesting conversation. And it can be so sensitive because we talk about things that can be so unpleasant, right? Um, I know that, for example, there is with the racial discrimination here in United States. Well, first I could not understand when I first moved to United States. I could not understand why would my whiteness, for some reason, be offensive to someone. Why would I be perceived as better than anybody else? And then I've noticed that somehow it is okay to call a person white, but not somehow black. And I have so many black friends, and with them we hold these conversations on the labels again and on the attitude. And for me, growing up, there was no racism. I could not understand even the notion of racism. However, in our society, we still do have it. And a lot of the times that I hear that on streets, on different conversations, it's just, I do hear, unfortunately, this negative racial labeling, including the whites, and that the speaking of the racism backwards, that's exactly the same thing. Racism is racism, so we just have to stay away from that if we want to reach any uh, what is the word, integrity in our lives, right? So we have to live with integrity.
You have to be honest.
You have to be honest. And well, actually, people think that they can be honest, taken in a wrong way. That if I am honest, if I'm expressing my opinion, which is a derogatory opinion, which is a bad opinion, filled with racism, filled with hatred toward other people, and they're being honest, right, Dr. Sherry? They are being honest, correct?
If it I don't think that honesty and hate can exist together. There's that's a contradiction in of itself there. You can't hate something and say I hate it and I'm being honest. I understand where you're coming from, like you're saying this is my honest opinion.
Right.
An opinion is not honesty. An opinion is not a fact. It's an opinion. So that's that person's perception. So they, again, I agree with you with regard to their being honest with their beliefs. But if you're spewing hate, I think you need to take a seat and go back into your honesty vault and be like, am I truly being honest with myself? Because I don't see honesty and hate coming together.
Well, so are you saying that only facts can be honest?
No, not only facts can be honest. It's when you're honest, I think you're able to empathize with somebody. Like you can have empathy, you can express your opinion. But if I think once you start speaking out of hate, I don't want to disregard what you're saying. I understand you're saying that's that person's honest opinion. I think where I'm coming from is if you just be honest with yourself. Okay, this is my opinion and I can't stand that. However, I'm also going to respect yours. So is there respect in their hateful honest opinion?
Oi, you just lost me there. Is there respect in your hateful, honest opinion? I had the cognitive dissonance all of a sudden. Now my brain is just thinking how to get out of the cognitive dissonance. But the thing is that we should also learn honesty. A lot of the times we grow up in very dishonest environment and we learn how not to be honest all the time in order to survive. This is our adaptive uh, traits to this world. This is how we see the world. This is how we survive in this world, right?
Yeah,
So,
I would say being honest is seeing a person as a human being, not trying to spew your rhetoric, not trying to spew your opinions and to be right in this world. Being honest is to see the person as a human being and removing the labels. That to me would be the honesty, not trying to spew what you think the other person should believe.
absolutely. I just recently had this incredibly u- upsetting at the beginning situation when a person that used to be close to me just completely disregarded out of the blue my political views. I don't discuss my political views with anybody. Anybody. I never talk. I never try to persuade anyone. I believe what I believe, and I don't want to change anybody else's opinion on their political beliefs or any other beliefs because I'm here to express my opinions. And if people can find it helpful, for example, right, then of course, the even supported by the scientific research, if people can find it helpful and they can take something from them, that is absolutely marvelous, but I'm not here to change anybody's opinion. If people are willing to take something away, if they agree with that, fine. If they don't agree, it is also absolutely fine with me because I respect people's opinions, that even their disagreement with me. However, I don't appreciate when people come to me and completely try to explode my beliefs, explode and change them. That what I don't appreciate, and I don't do that with other people. So I find it easy to live this way by not really imposing my own views on other people, unless, of course, it's a teaching environment where you have to impose. And nevertheless, you also have to listen to the opinions of your students. I remember so many times that even during our PhD experience, you remember, Dr. Sherry, that our opinions did not quite matter. They did not quite matter. And I thought, okay, I was doing masters at the time. And I also learned that my opinions don't matter. Somehow, if I express my own opinions in the papers that I was writing, that they were somehow had to reflect the opinions of the professors, and that just blew my mind. Finally, the chair of the department told me that, you know what you can do, you can graduate and then express your opinions anywhere you want. But here, you have to reflect the opinions of your professors and write the papers the way that they want you to write, that they want you to write them. So I
Yeah, they
thought,
want you to write
okay,
more academic, like stick to the point and no colloquial.
not necessarily that, not necessarily that. I'm talking about our own opinions and the theories that
I
we
really have
derive.
that. I didn't experience that with my professors. I didn't experience the when I was writing my paper. I wasn't told you could not have an opinion.
Oh,
So
it's
perhaps
not. It's not. It's not. You don't. They don't openly put it that right. Oh, you cannot have an opinion. This is not the case. But those opinions would not be accepted. And even when doing a PhD as well, somehow I found the same advice given to me that you are going to express your theories and the way that you want things to be after you graduate. But here you have to adhere to the main ideology, the way that they want you to write his papers and everything else. So um, we deviated from the topic. What was the topic? The
labels.
labels. Labels. Yeah, the labels.
We slowly morphed into opinions, which opinions are very strong. I mean, opinions are the epitome of labels. It's why we pretty much have them because everybody has their own opinion. They're just somewhat kind of up there with excuses, right? They say everybody has one. Their excuses are like assholes. Everyone has one, and they all stink. Like so. To put it frankly, um, same thing with
Absolutely.
opinions. We all have opinions based on our own perception. And that's the thing. People oftentimes can't move beyond their own perception because they're not open enough to accept something else. And sometimes I think they're so lost in it that they can't even like there's that term like you can't see what people see because you're not on the outside. So they're so immersed in their own opinion and their own beliefs that they can't even see past in front of them basically.
Oh yeah, we sometimes cannot even see past our nose. Right? We're so immersed in our own opinions and our own importance that we don't see the opinions of other people.
That's right. That's why
I
a lot of doesn't matter what you tell people. You can sometimes you can sing to someone, you can tell them something till the cows come home, but they're not gonna listen. You can bring the horse to the water, but you can't make it drink. So that's how, like you said before, that's how strong the human mind is. That's how powerful and profound each unique person's mental capacity is. It could be you could be bleeding out and someone's trying to save you, but you have this belief that if I hold on to this label or this opinion, I'm not going to bleed out. And maybe
That's
you're
right.
you're hospitalized and you like realize that maybe I should let go of that label. Oftentimes terrible things may have to happen to us or really good things have to happen to us so we can change or let people out of our lives. Like this recent encounter you spoke of, you probably more than likely had to distance yourself from this individual so it could be healthy for you. That relationship probably somewhat dissolved.
Yes, and I believe it is so important what you're saying right now, because when we have people like that in our environment, what do we do when they set those negative labels and speak to us in a derogatory way? How do we deal with it? Okay, sometimes in the heat of the moment, you can say things that you will regret later, right? However, if someone consistently is putting you down and calling you names and we call it labeling you, right, in a certain way, whether you are poor or wealthy or anything else, or due to your disability or the way that you look, anything at all, you have to distance yourself from those people. If you cannot change the opinions of those people about you, you can move away from those people. However, I'm not encouraging people just to sit there quietly and not say anything. A lot of the times, the bullies
That's okay to do
can be
that, though.
stopped.
That's
It's
okay
okay
to
to do that. Absolutely.
and sometimes it's if it's family, you can't remove yourself. However, I believe you can you can just learn to listen and just allow them to accept them where they are and not engage. But if it does become toxic and it causes something a scene or something that's very negative, then even if it's family, you might have to distance yourself. But in some cases,
Absolutely.
people are just not informed. They are not they're somewhat, I don't want to label someone as ignorant, but some people aren't as informed, so they believe their opinion is very strong, and you can accept somebody where they are. However, you may have to distance yourself even if they're family.
This is so funny. I remember that when I was writing papers, when I was still going to school, there was one correction that my professor did. I wrote in a paper, blind people, something that I had to make the statement. And he corrected me. He said, people who are blind. And at that time, like, I didn't know what the difference was. Like, yeah, it was like it's splitting hairs. However, there is a sense in it. Blind people, as we can call someone blind, are you blind, right? That person is always blind. They can never see anything past their nose, right? And that is also can be a label, like cliche at the same time. But we can also split hairs in this understanding, like person who is blind person or person who is blind, because we don't want to offend people on their disabilities as well, right? So
But when you're telling someone what it's right in front of you, are you blind? That's at that point I would say you might want to address the relationship. It sounds like there's a little bit of contempt there. If someone's treating you that way, it can be out of, like you said, it can be funny too. It's right in front of you. Are you blind? But there's always a little bit of truth in every little every just kidding. Right? There's always a little bit of truth in there. So,
yeah, the truth. But what is the truth?
well, I
What
mean,
is the
like
truth?
saying, "Are you blind?" It's right in front of you. Is it necessary to say that to someone to be derogatory when they didn't see it? It's really becomes a reflection of the other person. But I understand from what the blind can be. I think three different things. It could be contempt, it could be a disability, and or maybe not even a disability. Just because someone's blind, perhaps they may not want to be identified with as a disability.
Well, absolutely. But nevertheless, we cannot change people's opinions of ourselves. So sometimes you have to stand up for yourself and defend, because you cannot be a part of your community and continuously be bullied. So a lot of the times we should stand up for ourselves and stop the bullying at the time, that instead of suffering that for a long period of time. And like you said, with families, it sometimes is impossible, and we have to do something about it. And instead of changing the person, because it's quite possible that we cannot change, and all we can do is to distance ourselves, because sometimes uh, there is a time when you know that you are not able to persuade that person enough, that you cannot explain your position enough, there will always be judgment and negative judgment towards you, and not understanding. So it is okay to withdraw. It is okay to distance yourself in times that when you can't. What if it's your mother or your father, right? Then we have to use our best judgment and understanding of the situation to protect ourselves and know the limits, set the boundaries, and maintain them.
Yeah, I would do like an exercise if those listening today or watching, do an exercise. Try to identify as you go through your day, maybe even half the day, think of if you can consciously think about how many times you use a label. Just think about it. Just a small exercise.
Oh, I'm gonna blow that completely. I'm gonna go outside probably for today, and if I don't speak audibly, I will think of something, right?
Yeah, you may even catch yourself where you may have uttered negativity towards somebody. If you catch yourself before you spew a label, you might actually be surprised at the ability to consciously make a change in your life instead of always summing up with a label and I'm just going to throw that out there because it's lazy. Maybe get to know something. Maybe get to know a part of a person, what has made them believe that, why are they the way they are today, instead of just casting stones.
Casting stones actually can hurt you because
It
what is the
literally can.
saying? Rocks and sticks. What is
Sticks
the
and
saying?
stones may
Sticks
break
and
my bones, but words may never hurt me
words may never hurt me, but the words
or touch
actually
me or
can.
touch me.
But words can actually they can be more hurtful
If you believe them,
if you believe them. But
to be honest
if
with yourself, you can learn to. I don't have. It's not an easy thing, especially for children, right? But their prefrontal cortex is
exactly,
also developed either. So again, that's a whole nother topic, a whole nother show. But if you believe the words, that's why my mom used to tell me that when I was afraid or being bullied in school when I was a kid. That's the same phrase she would tell me. Sticks and stones may hurt my bones, but words may never touch me. And that's what she meant by that. And it's so true. Those words don't ever have to touch you. Sticks and stones will hurt you if they throw them at you. Words do not hurt you. I can tell you it's going to hurt you based on how you perceive it if you choose to believe it. Most of us choose to believe it. That's where we have to learn to be honest. I'm going to be honest with myself. I am not what you think I am. It's probably you that who is all the things you think I am. As Jung said, when people are throwing it at us, chances are they're the ones suffering from that, right? Words cannot hurt. Let me say, literally speaking, words cannot physically hurt you. They're not going to hurt you, but they mentally can scar you. That's why we're here to hopefully give you some light in your life to learn that no matter what someone calls you, to pick yourself up and don't believe those words. Change the words. Pink says it so beautifully in her songs. Change the voices in your head, make them love you instead.
love you instead. Oh, I love it. Exactly. How many times do we safe unsafely self label ourselves?
Daily,
How
more than
many
likely.
times? It is so important, like you mentioned, that the incredible exercise just to go out today and actually see how many labels we hang on people, right? And then how many labels, I would just go further, we hang on ourselves, right?
Yeah, maybe honestly, knocking something over, you spilled your water, or a child spills their water, and you're filled with such anger. Anger is a label. Oh, what am I thinking? That's just becomes a part of your presence in that moment. So it's just recognizing those small things and trying to accept things and learning to love the experiences that happen to you, all of them, good and bad. Learn to love them. There's a reason that you've experienced it. Not
Yeah,
everybody go out and change the world. Start by changing yourself.
start by changing yourself. And the
Change those
thing,
labels.
yeah, change the labels. And interestingly enough, that what happens to us, and when we are when we have those labels hanging on us, a lot of the times that we can become proactive in that and change the approach, be that change in the society, even if it's the small community that you have. Be that change and don't allow to be treated in a negative way, because I am such a proponent of standing up for yourself and making people respect you
Yeah.
if you deserve respect, because you also have to be honest with yourself and thinking like, okay, do I deserve respect for my behavior,
You
for
have to
myself as a
respect yourself
persona?
first.
What?
I say we
It,
have to respect ourselves first to, right? Everybody
absolutely.
deserves respect is a human right. We all deserve respect. Everybody deserves it. I don't think you can make someone respect you, but I think you absolutely deserve it. I deserve it. We all deserve it.
I have a problem with the word deserve, Dr. Sherry. It is, I have such a huge problem with this word deserve, and it doesn't really come like people would say that, oh, there was a problem in your childhood, that you were not deserved and you were not appreciated enough and all that. No. In my understanding, that when we are born into this world, we don't deserve nothing. I mean, we don't deserve anything. Oh my God, it's a for in for an English.
We deserve to be treated as human beings, I
No,
believe, right?
right. We don't use double negations, right? As a linguist, like, oh my
Where's
God.
this, where's our thesaurus? What's another word for deserve?
Deserve. When we are born, we don't deserve anything. Yeah, perhaps we
We
should
do.
probably deserve our caring by our parents because we are not able to care for ourselves. But as we grow older, that respect has to also be earned. If the person in front of me is not is exhibiting a nasty behavior, I don't owe him or her or anybody or it any respect. He doesn't deserve anything but the mere fact, he or she, whoever, does not deserve respect by the mere fact of existence. That respect needs to be earned by treating people in a nice way. And Dr. Sherry, I see that you're very, I'm going to put that label on you. You are very, um, the word is idealistic. I am too. And that is a good label, although it's not really a label. We were not going to say that, oh, this is a label on you. No, by calling you idealistic, it is good to be idealistic because we expect in good things coming from the world toward us. We expect the best in people, right? We think of the world as a better place. However, it may not be. And next time, when somebody, I was walking the dog just the other day, and my dogs ran to the person with another dog, and they just wanted to play. Somehow, that big man's feet got tangled in a leash. I don't think I've ever heard this much of uh, what is this? How am I gonna put it nicely? Um,
Foul
Nick,
language.
you're just. This is not to put it. I okay. I was looking for a literary word. I heard so many awful things being said toward me, toward my dog, to the world in general. Oh, my jaw fell on the floor and dropped to pieces. You know. So if we and nevertheless, I did not start thinking of the world as this horrible place, right? So being idealistic is still good.
It's
However,
not
when
about the
we
other person. That's the thing. When you're saying they don't deserve my respect, that's for me, that's putting myself better than somebody else. I have no idea what another person's going through. It's not about them deserving the respect. It's about you being respectful as an individual. No matter how someone treats you, you still treat somebody with respect. You don't lower, I don't, excuse me, I don't lower my respect for someone because they don't respect me. Now, I may take a step back and try to communicate depending on the situation or whatever's going on, but I don't believe I'm going to diminish my respect for the humanity and other human being because they didn't respect me. I think there's maybe a more gentle way to uh,
I think we're going to the same fact or conversation what we had the last time when your mom said they kill with kindness. I would kill that person with kindness and I would still have respect, but I would have respect for myself, not to involve myself in this kind of a nasty foul language altercation with that person and walk away.
and it's
I
okay
would say,
if you, even if you did, even if you said screw you. It's okay to sometimes we're going to be human and you're going to act out or I'm going to act out. So in those cases there's it's nothing wrong with that either. So it's I can't not saying here that you have to always be this, you know, angelic floating person who won't ever engage in a reaction when somebody gets on your in your face. I
And
just think of like I think of standing in the rain. People think like I think of labels as the rain coming down. You can pull out your umbrella to deflect them, but if you don't have an umbrella, you can sit in the rain and be drenched by all these labels. And you can either hate it or you can dance in the rain. No matter how wet I am, I'm still going to be happy that I'm alive. And so I think that's just how I view it. So many people get out in the rain, they're like, I'm wet, it's horrible, I'm cold, I'm soggy, instead of just saying, "Oh, well, I didn't bring my umbrella and I got wet." So I think that's labels are going to wet us in life, and how we deal with them, how we deal with the rain, is a whole nother perception. I know that's I love metaphors. I think I live my life in a metaphor. Sometimes I have to pull myself by the hair and be like, "You have to come back to reality," because I'm living in that the metaphorical idealism
well, how
of
about that
existence.
reality for you, Dr. Sherry? I know that you did extensive research uh, on the killers, right? And they were serial killers. How would you approach that? And the parent of the killed child, for example, by the serial murderer, right? Killer, the parent does not have to respect the murderer of their children, right? And they do not deserve respect automatically. If we look at that, if a man, for example, is beating a woman half his size by proving that he is a macho man and she needs to listen to him, regardless what the situation is, she does not owe him a respect automatically, because that is already disgraceful behavior to treat a woman this way, or even go further to kill someone. So in my understanding, when someone also comes to me with the very unreasonable understanding, very unreasonable demands to me, unreasonable meaning that try to also to change my opinions, to change me in a way that I do not see myself. That is unreasonable. I don't owe respect immediately to anybody who think that they deserve respect. So I believe that these two opinions will always exist in our society, that especially in our world nowadays, that everyone deserves everything. Oh no, they don't, in my understanding. And I think like in our
I don't
society,
think it's
just
about giving the person respect. Again, it's about honoring your own respect. You don't have to respect the person. You don't have to say I respect them for killing my child. No, I don't think anyone would hold anyone to any kind of standard. However, some people come to and like just I think you have to come to something that brings you peace in your life. I haven't gone through something like that. No one's killed my children because I would probably want to kill them. So I understand where you're
where
coming.
would your respect go, my dear? Where would your respect go if you would
I
have to
don't
go
think
and
it's
kill him?
I don't think it's with regard to having respect for them. What I'm saying is like having enough respect for yourself to not engage in it. You can still write something to somebody
Exactly.
to let them know this is how you affected my life. Doesn't mean
Exactly.
I'm having this higher than I'm not. I think we're on the same page. I'm not saying that you have to. You don't owe anyone anything. I don't believe in this
Oh,
life.
I love this, Oh, absolutely. I always, when I talk to people and when they're in this bad situation, especially when I know it, uh, I would always tell them that you don't owe anything to anybody.
Well,
You
because what are
owe,
you indebted to?
you
Isn't there has some kind of debt that comes with owing somebody something?
Well, perhaps we are indebted to our children before they are able to care for themselves, like when they're little. And I remember when our children were small, like 5 and 7 years of the 5 and 10 years old. There's 5 year difference between them. They were behaving like little brats and
We
moving
don't
to
owe them. We are responsible for them.
yeah, by moving here, they decided that, oh, this is the way of entitlement that we live here. And this is what is acceptable behavior here in California. And this is how we are. We're a part of the society. We're entitled. And I had to have a conversation with them. I don't owe you anything. You are not entitled to anything. I don't even have to be your mom. I choose to be your mom. I can always put you in a home for adoption, for example, right? For other people to care for you, but nobody will care for you the way that I care for you and love you, because I don't owe you. I want to have a peaceful life as well. Well, why do I need to be waking up at night, right? Caring for you, taking you to classes, making food for you, like, why? I don't owe you anything. And you know what? That situation changed, and my children turned from that attitude that they had acquired here to the nice and respectful attitude. If people would know that no one owes them anything, no one owes anything to me, perhaps I owe to my parents to take care of them like they took care of me in my younger years, that they care for me right now. I owe to um, to have this connection with them, to take care of them, to care for their opinions, if they're not the um, destructive opinions, of course, right? We do have a responsibility for our parents, right? And like you're saying, there is responsibility, but we don't owe, right? Is
I
this
think
what you're saying?
I think that that's why it's important to be a good parent, and it's not always going to happen in every situation, because I think that if you honor your children, they will most likely honor you at your time in that
Absolutely.
in that time. I mean, I know we've strayed again from the topic of
Oh
our
no, it
conversation,
is. It
but
is. It's also the labeling.
you're
It's
right, because
also it's all the
saying that
same.
we owe something it's a label. Same thing with constantly saying I need to. People will say I need to do this, I should do this, I need. But if you can take that word need out and just say I want to make a change for myself, changing the word want is will reduce the pressure in your mental state instead of saying I need to, because when needing often leads to what, procrastination.
That's true too. We're just gonna touch upon all the subjects that we have discussed recently.
Well, because
Listen,
they all come together with being honest, right? A need is not something you don't need to go to the gym to live, but you do need water and food. But when we start assigning this label of needing something, we oftentimes feel the pressure, and we honestly sometimes don't even do it. It's
we
just
all have to come together, Dr. Sherry. Come together right
woo.
now against the labels.
That's right. Hmm.
So yeah, it is absolutely important not to labelize people.
Or to
Right.
confine yourself. Break free from the labels. If instead of be proactive. Instead of labeling and living beyond them, try to go beyond the label.
Rip them off, right?
Right? Like patches. Put them
Like
on your
patches.
food. Label your food.
Label your food. Yeah, so many times that I buy clothes and they're also so scratchy, all those labels for Pete's sake, and I cut them off and it feels so good. So how about we cut off those labels that people hang on us, because
And yeah,
whatever we don't accept doesn't stick to us.
that's
People
right. And
can
if you
have
ever get
any
upset with
opinion of
somebody,
ourselves.
you can
Mhm.
go in their cabinet and remove all the labels on their cans, and they might not know what they then you won't know what you're eating, right? So is that
That
what
will
living
be
beyond labels would
the
be?
ultimate revenge. The ultimate. Take the labels off. So sometimes we do need labels, and the labels can be positive. And a lot of the times when we talk about labels, it's actually is used they're used in derogatory terms.
Yeah, we will always have labels. Labels are good. They can be negative. It's what we do with the label that matters. How we receive it and how we perceive it and how we give it. Those things are almost make a difference in our lives with labels.
Yes, I agree. I agree. Well, Dr. Sherry, I have a question for you. What is this on your shirt? It's Mardi Gras. Tell us what is
Mardi Gras.
happening.
Oh, Mardi Gras kicks off. It's New Orleans. It's carnival time, baby. So outside,
Yay!
there's a parade. There know some parades start rolling. So it's about 2 weeks. So usually it's gonna be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday of this week, maybe a couple other days, and then it's going to be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. We get to Fat Tuesday, and then it's going to be next day's Ash Wednesday. So Fat Tuesday, which is Mardi Gras Day, is always celebrated the day before Ash Wednesday, which starts Lent in, I believe, the Catholic tradition.
So, what is the essence of the Mardi Gras celebration? What does it mean, Mardi Gras?
It's from what I know, it's just a big party. I
Hmm.
believe it originates. I want to say like even the king cake. I want to say it has like Christian foundation. I don't know the the history of Mardi Gras. Even though I'm from uh, the Bayou, I'm a Cajun through and through. I'm not familiar with all the history of Mardi Gras, but it's an absolute fabulous time. You stay safe, but it's a wonderful experience to have.
That is so cool. I've never been in a carnival like this. Are you going to go?
I'm gonna go to a few of them. Yeah,
Nice.
bring the kids, and Mardi Gras. It's changed a lot. It's used to be mostly for like kids and stuff, but now a lot of adults go and expose themselves, and yeah, you can get fined for it now, I believe here. And well,
Expose them so they
people do it year round in New Orleans. You can
yeah.
people that you can get beads on the street, and people show their anatomy all the time for a simple plastic bead, something like this, right?
Oh
This is
my
also a
goodness.
bead. Where's it at on this side? This is a bead. It's just a bead with a little mask on it.
I see.
It's really fun, and it brings people together. It's a tradition, and it's wild. It's a wild time.
That is so incredible. I was in New Orleans just the once, and it's a very interesting place. Very interesting place. It's south, and to
It's very
me,
mystical.
it's very mystical. Yes, I could see, as a seer, I could see so many things there that were not perceived by the regular eye. And to me, some of the things were scary, but a lot of the things were beautiful, and people are nice, and just a very interesting place with huge, huge history.
Yeah, the people around this part of the United States are extremely nice compared to other places. I would say it's just a whole different way of living. But there's beauty everywhere in the world. Everywhere you go, everywhere there's beauty because it's all based on your perception. If you want to see beauty in the world, you're going to see it. Even in sorrow, there's beauty. Just might take a little time to get there.
Get out of there, right? Get out of the
Well,
sorrow to the
yeah.
beauty, into the understanding. Yeah. It's I always have to think of what you say, that there is also the beauty in sorrow, because this is not the first time you mentioned it. And there is, because what happens to us, and when we talk to ourselves and when we say, oh, I'm so depressed now, that's another label that we put on ourselves. We can be sad, situationally sad for whatever reason, but we should avoid labeling ourselves as depressed, because that's another label that the society puts on everybody, whoever is just sad, right?
Well,
So
if you
just
label yourself, hopefully you have the capacity to, if I can say I'm depressed, then maybe I can do something about it. So it's okay. It's like if you're standing out in the rain, like we said, the labels are the rain, right? You could either be happy and dance in the rain, or you could be sad. But sooner or later, you're probably going to see a rainbow, right? So I believe there's always a rainbow on the outside of any negativity in our lives.
and there's a pot of gold. Two pots of gold at the end of the rainbow. There are two ends, right? So there
Hmm.
should be two pots of gold.
That's right.
But if you look at it, it's the infinity circle, right? And there are no pots of gold. The pots of gold are only in your mind and in your
It
heart
is, and
if you
I believe
discover them.
that's your enlightenment.
Yeah, but that is so fantastic. Just recently, I saw a rainbow with purple color. I've never seen purple color on a rainbow. And then I saw the full spectrum of it.
Wow.
That was so incredible. And that was a double rainbow. Beautiful. The nature is beautiful. Even if when
Yes.
you're sad, there always the rainbow is going to come up after the rain. And the
Yes. You have to weather the storm to get to the rainbow.
weather the storm and two pots of gold. Don't forget, two pots of gold of
I
happiness
won't
are going
forget.
to be there. That's right. On
St.
each
Patrick's is
shoulder.
coming up, so we'll be talking more about that pot of gold
Ah, pot of gold.
with the four
Exactly.
leaf clovers.
We'll be talking about that next time.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So, well, the time is coming up for us to conclude. Let's get ready for an exciting week ahead. We have got an engaging episode lined up. So, next week, we'll explore human sexuality, one conversation at a time. Whether you are a devoted, be honest listener or curious about transforming your journey, this episode is packed with sometimes controversial ideas about human sexuality. You won't want to miss it. Mark your calendars for next Friday, February 9th, and join us on United Public Radio Network 107.7 FM as we continue to ride the roller coaster of life. In the meantime, you can find us, Dr. Yana and Dr. Sherry, on YouTube at Be Honest Talks, then www.behonestpodcast.com, and email us your questions or comments or any topics that you want to discuss at behonesttalks@gmail.com. We enjoy sharing our journey with you, our valued listeners. You are. As you continue going about your day or night, remember to wear a smile and be honest with yourself and the world. We are so happy that you joined us today. We will see you next week. Thank you very much, Dr. Sherry,
Pleasure to
for
be
this
here.
engaged conversation. And I will also be seeing you next week in person, right here on the same spot, as always, every Friday at this time. So, goodbye, everybody.